So, even though I'm wearing this cat hat, please take me seriously. I couldn't wash my hair because when I was making coffee this morning, I burned my hand, and don't do that. And so I have to let my hand sort of deal with it. It's much better than it was, but it's still in a bandage. So I couldn't wash my hair, and I feel like self-conscious. So I'm wearing this hat. But also this hat's kind of awesome, so whatever. I just wanted to explain why I'm wearing the hat. I watched two movies today on TCM. Watch TCM. It actually aired earlier this week, or maybe Friday. I don't know. I just saw them on the schedule and was like, these are movies I need to see. And the first one was from 1931, and it's directed by John S. Robertson. That's hard. Robertson. And it stars John Gilbert. It's called The Phantom of Paris. It's based on a novel by Gaston Leroux, who also wrote Phantom of the Opera. However, Phantom of Paris was actually based on a novel called Chérie Bibi, which is the name of John Gilbert's character. He is an escape artist who falls in love with a rich young woman, and when her fiance that discovers that unless he marries this girl, he's going to lose all the money he thought he was going to get from her father. He kills the father and makes it look like John Gilbert did it. Then John Gilbert has to escape from prison, prove his innocence to both the authorities and the woman that he loves, played by Layla Hames. You'll remember her from Freaks. It's a movie that could have been much better. It feels sort of a lower budget MGM, which is unfortunate. And if you know, the career of John Gilbert sort of was waning at this time, mostly because MGM basically put him in all of these like B films, and it's really unfortunate. Because if you look at other 1931 MGMs, they look like they had 5 times the budget. It's truly unfortunate. Also, this was a film that was originally supposed to star Lon Chaney. However, Lon Chaney died of a heart attack a year prior, right after the rights were acquired. So you get John Gilbert in a movie that was supposed to be for Lon Chaney. MGM has it in for John Gilbert, so they slash the budget. And he does the best he can in this film, but it's not a great film. He's great in it. And of all the talkies I've seen, it's one of the best John Gilbert talkies, I think. Layla Hyams could have been better. Lewis Stone as the detective is really great. It's a truly great Lewis Stone performance. And Jean Hersholt as like a toy maker steals like 3 scenes. So good. So, if you're a fan of any of those actors, definitely check this film out. But definitely understand that it's not the greatest, and mostly because they were trying to destroy John Gilbert. He is the greatest. The next one I watched is one I've been wanting to see for a long time. It's won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for Eileen Heckart, who also was nominated for The Bad Seed about 15 years earlier. And it's directed by Milton Katselas. It's called Butterflies Are Free, and it was based on a play by Leonard Gersh, who also wrote the screenplay, although he moved the action of the play from Manhattan to San Francisco. It stars Edward Albert, not to be confused with Eddie Albert, and Goldie Hawn in one of her first lead roles after winning a Best Supporting Actress Oscar herself for Cactus Flower, which is another film I still have not seen. She is so good in this movie. If you read a lot of the like blurbs about this film, it makes her sound like she's like a manic pixie dream girl or something, but really she's not. She's just a very slightly broken, very independent, determined to live life on her own terms kind of woman. And she meets this boy who's moved in next door, who is similarly trying to root himself in independence. However, he has been sheltered by his mother, played by Eileen Heckart, because he is blind. She comes from a kind of a broken home and a mother who continually remarries. So they're both sort of stunted by their parents, but in different ways. And they find strength and growth in each other. However, one is more willing to grow as a person than the other throughout most of the film. It's really almost all takes place in this really great apartment that they both live in, with a little bit of, it's a play that's been opened up to be not as theatrical, so there's little tidbits of San Francisco thrown in for good measure, but it's mostly in this apartment, and it does feel like a 3-act play, but that's okay, because the dialogue is so good, and the chemistry between Hawn and Albert is fire. And then when Hawn and Eileen Heckart are talking to each other, they're very like at first very confrontational, and then later on they sort of learn from each other, and the mutual respect there is quite wonderful. And Eckart or Heckart, I never know. Silent H, anyone? I'm not sure. She gets to start out as what you think as one kind of very stereotypical mother, and then as the film progresses and as the action unfolds, she gets to be so much more nuanced and layered, and learn from what she's discovering about her son that she never knew. It's really wonderful. It's definitely like towards the end of the hippie era and some of these sort of hippie-esque films. There were a bunch of these. I'm thinking things like For Pete's Sake, which not a good film, but a bunch of other of them from the late 60s, things like I Love You, Alice B. Toklas, all the way through this, except that some of those other ones aren't very nuanced in their portrayals of sort of free-thinking, free-spirited people, and the Hawn character really feels more realistic and true, rather than a caricature of this kind of person. So I really loved this. Goldie Hawn is just such a treasure. So this came out in 1972. It's called Butterflies Are Free. Both of these films, The Phantom of Paris and Butterflies Are Free, are on Watch TCM right now, so you can check them out. I recommend them. They are very good.